my name's Matt. I'm a longtime climber and I'm actually a certified yoga teacher, but I've never really taught. In the real world, however, I do yoga almost every day as kind of a complement to my climbing and a cross training. I find that it helps me a lot in terms of strength and flexibility and just sort of managing soreness and pain. But one thing I've struggled with is finding YouTube yoga videos that kind of fit the niche that I'm looking for, as someone who's not super flexible and not that into the spiritual side of the practice. So I thought I would experiment with posting some practices online. So today's a climbing day. I'm going to do this before I go train in my garage. I think this is a practice you could do on just about any day. It'll be strengthening and designed to open your hips and shoulders. So we'll start in child's pose. So you get down on your mat. You bring your big toes to touch behind you, stretch your arms out in front of you, and then drive back to open your hips. So think of it as kind of like a butterfly position, but you're prone on the floor. So we'll take 5 breaths here. One thing I struggle a lot with is shoulder soreness, so this one really helps me. This kind of child's pose with the, I call it prayer arms in front of you. So put your elbows down on the mat, bring your hands together. You can either clasp them or keep them kind of like a shark's fin like that. And then driving down through your elbows, just push back into child pose, bring your hands behind your head to open your shoulders. Continuing in that vein, we'll try puppy pose for a little more shoulder opening. So you're still in the same sort of child's pose with your toes together and your hips, but you bring your hands out in front of you. You're sort of like, think about like a puppy when you roll a ball in front of them. Make cupcake hands, push down through them, stretch long, and push back. And this will open up your shoulders and your abs. Come back, still in this child's pose, actually press back to child's pose, and now we're going to walk our hands to the side. This is really good for opening up sore lats and shoulders. So I'm going to bring my hands off the right side of my mat, push back and really drive back into my hips and reach my arms forward, stretching through the left lat and the right lat, trying to find some length. I've done 5 breaths there. Coming back to center, come off the left side of your mat, same thing. Really try to get long through that right lat and then through the left lat. Bring your shoulders onto your back, don't hunch them up by your head, and push back. Right? From here, come to what we call tabletop pose. Basically, you're just crouching or kneeling. Get your hands under you. Press down through your index finger and thumb. Rotate the eyes of your elbows forward. Bring your shoulders down your back. You have your knees directly under your hips. We're going to do cat-cow pose. So dropping the belly, lift the head. Then push up. We'll go through about 10 of these. You're just alternating between sort of dipping and arching. So the dipping is the cow, the arching is the cat. Board. Another shoulder opener I like to do is return to child pose where we started, and we're going to thread the needle. So take your right arm up, look up at it, take it, bring it under your left, and then lean your right ear against the mat, and this really opens the outside of your shoulder. Let's stay here for a few breaths. That left arm up, bring it up towards the ceiling, look at it, and then thread it under your right arm. Bring your left ear to the mat, and then really push into that bottom arm. Push it against the floor, stretch your right arm forward. Openers. Let's start with a little strengthening. So what we're going to do now, return to your tabletop pose. Bring your right arm forward and your left arm back, and then we're just going to hold this for 3 breaths. Really try to find sort of a plank pose, a horizontal alignment in your body so that your lifted limbs are straight and activated. Really stretch long through that right arm, stretch back through that left leg. Return to the mat, bring that left arm forward, bring that right arm back. Same thing, stretch long through the front arm, stretch long through that back elevated leg. A few breaths. Your feet back. We're going to come to what's called plank pose. So you really want your body long and strong, pushing down through the hands, pushing back through the feet, looking forward just a little bit. Bring the shoulders down the back. I'm going to hold this for a few breaths. Down. Keep your elbows hugged in by your ribs. Rotate forward over your feet. Press into up dog. Really dropping the belly. Don't let the shoulders hunch like that. That's sloppy. Stay tight. Keep a lot of tension through your front body and through your back body. Push into the floor. Lift your head. Then we're going to push back into downward facing dog. Classic yoga pose. Pushing through this inner triad with the index finger and the thumb. Try to get the heels to the mat. Activate the legs. Rotate the eyes and the arms forward. Push back. Try to stretch your hamstrings. Hey, Abby. Kitty. If you want to walk your dog too, since this is the first one we're doing, you can kind of alternate dropping first one heel and into the other towards the mat, stretching out the hamstrings alternately. My downward dog. I'm going to step to the top of the mat. Stand up straight, activate the quads. Bring your arms overhead, knock into the treadmill, apparently. Bring your hands down to heart center. Stay strong through the feet. You want to kind of anchor into the floor like you're a tree. Think of yourself as like planting tree roots down through the four corners of your feet. Stay here, arms up again. Forward fold. Your shins. Plant the hands. Step back to plank pose. Lower halfway. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. We'll do a couple more of those. Alex, please stop. Stay here just a little more, just to warm up a little more. Come to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, pushing off your shins. You want to do a flat back so that you're forming kind of a 90-degree angle with the floor. Forward fold. This helps loosen up tense hamstrings. Bring your hands to heart center. Back to downward, back to plank. Halfway down. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Top your mat. We'll do one more of these. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Root down through your feet. Root to rise, as they say. Bring your hands overhead. And actually, let's do a little something different here. I want to open my shoulders a little bit more. So take your hands overhead, clasp them together, turn your palms to face the ceiling. And we're going to lean over to the right, really stretching through that left side body. But keep your legs square. Don't let your hips drop or sag like that. And just really lean and try to stretch along through that left side. We'll do a few breaths here. Back to center. Stretch the right side. So leaning left. Arms overhead. Forward fold. Chaturanga Dandasana, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Okay, bring the right leg straight up behind you. Lifting it, this is three-legged dog. Bring the right elbow, bring the right knee to the right elbow. Back to three-legged dog. Right elbow, left knee. Right knee, left elbow. Get down the center. Try to touch your knee and your nose. I'll never get there. That doesn't really matter. You're just trying to stretch out. Right leg back, and then take the right hip and open it. This is called scorpion dog. You kind of want to drop it behind you. Think of your leg like a scorpion tail that you're dropping behind you. This opens the hip. Couple breaths here. Plank. Let's cleanse the palate with a chaturanga. Upward dog. Back to downward facing dog. Now we'll do it on the left side. Left leg up. Left knee, left elbow. Really rock forward on that right toe. Left leg back. Left knee, right elbow. Come back. Left leg forward. Left leg back, and we'll do scorpion dog on the left side. So really open that left hip, and you're dropping your left foot down towards the ground behind you. Alright, left leg back. Set it on the ground, push back into downward facing dog. Roll forward to plank. Chaturanga. Up dog. Down dog. Walk to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Upward salute. Hands at heart center. Let's do one more side stretch while we're here. I think face forward on your mat. So drive down through your legs in Tadasana. Take your left arm forward and your right arm back, but keep your torso facing forward, and just really rotate through your shoulder girdle and your chest. Couple breaths here. Bring your hands back overhead. Right arm forward, left arm back. Same thing, trying to find opening through your shoulders and chest. Straighten through those arms, keep your shoulders out of your ears. There's a lot of piano going on upstairs, I'm not sure if you can hear that. I think one of my kids is practicing the Darth Vader theme. Anyway, hands back up, forward fold. Halfway lift, step back, plank pose. Chaturanga Dandasana, bend the elbows, keep them in by the ribs, flip over the feet, upward facing dog, back to downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. Bring your right knee to your left elbow, then take your right foot, kick it out to the side, get on the outside edge of your foot, on the blade of your foot. Rotate like you're going to a side plank, or we're going to do broken triangle. So essentially you're in a triangle pose, but sort of sideways with a side plank flourish. Really push down through that right arm. We'll do a few breaths here. Back, really strong through the legs. This pose is a really good side opener, it just feels good on my body. Press back to downward facing dog, just a moment of repose. Left leg up. Bring your your left knee to your right elbow. Then same thing, broken triangle on the left side, so the blade of the left foot's down, the right arm goes up. Push down through that left hand and bring the right arm above you. Alright, come back. Push back to the downward facing dog. Plank, hold plank, and then we're going to do a little bit of crow pose for just a little bit of shoulder strengthening. So I really like this pose. It just kind of feels good for my body. Feels a lot like kind of a high step crunchy move when you're climbing. So come down to a squat. You're going to place your hands, for me it's helpful to keep them on the mat. Place them in front of you, kind of same hand position as downward facing dog. Bring your knees up on your triceps, and then slowly tilt forward, and then lift your feet off the floor. Activate your core when you do so. It can be a little intimidating. If you worry about falling on your face, you can put a block in front of you. You can even rest your forehead against it. Or if you do fall, you know, just kind of stunt roll off to the side. Like if you start to fall, you just do that kind of thing. But anyway, hands in the downward dog position, pressing down through the thumb and the index finger, fingers spread, index finger pointing forward, knees are up on the triceps, tip forward. We're gonna hold this for a good while. Bring your feet back together, kind of like we started in child's pose, and just press down through the hands, use your core to stabilize. You can jump back into chaturanga, upward facing dog, or you can step back into it, downward facing dog. All right, right leg up, three-legged dog. Step it forward. We're going to start with a few standing poses. This is high crescent pose, so you want your right leg at 90 degrees, your left leg strong and active behind you. Pushing down through the toe, bring the hands up overhead. Keep your hips facing forward. Just really settle into the pose. Keep those hips facing forward. Keep those legs activated. All right, hands to the floor. Step back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog. Downward dog. Couple breaths here. All right, left leg high, three-legged dog. Left foot forward. We're coming up to crescent on the left side. So again, keep that front foot anchored, hands overhead, shoulders down the back. You don't want to be up like this. You want them down like that, but then long through the arms, back leg activated. We'll do 10 breaths here. Pushing off the ball of the back right toe. Right hands to the floor, back into plank, chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Let's do a little bit of another side stretch here. So take your right arm up, bring it through, grab the back of your left leg wherever you can get it, knee, thigh, calf. Look under your left armpit. We'll take a few breaths here. Let's do it on the other side. Left arm up. Bring it through. Grab your right leg and twist. Looking under your right armpit. My shirt's really baggy. I can't really see shit, but there you go. Leg up. Forward. Come up. High crescent. Now we're going to do rotating crescent. So bring this left arm down to the right side of the right thigh. Lock against it. Keep your legs strong and twist. With each twist, you can sort of drive a little deeper into the twist with each exhale. Be here for 5 breaths. back up to crescent. Move through vinyasa, hands down, back to plank. Exhale. Chaturanga. Back to downward facing dog. And then we'll throw in a crow before we do the left side. So walk your way to the top of the mat. Plant your hands again. Knees up on the triceps, tilt forward. Straighten the arms. Bring the legs high. Activate the core. Chaturanga. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Step forward, high crescent on the left side. All right, bring your hands to heart center. We're gonna twist, bring this right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Keep the pose active, so you're really driving back through that left leg, driving down through that front foot, twisting, and with each exhale, try to go a little deeper. Hands down, plank, chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. All right, walk or jump to the top of your mat, halfway lift, forward fold. Let's get a little bit of a stretch on. So for me, I'm very inflexible. I'm gonna need this block. I'm just gonna go straight into the pose. I'm gonna stuff my left leg behind my right leg. I have very tight hamstrings, but the looser they are, the better I can climb. I take the block on a medium setting, put it down, and then just forward fold over your bent legs, finding a nice long stretch through both hamstrings. Come up, cross the right leg behind the left, we'll do it on the other side. Block if you need it, if not, you can grab the floor, fold over, 5 breaths. Upward salute, hands to heart center, upward salute, forward fold, halfway lift. Hopefully by now your hamstrings are warm and you're getting a little more flexible, a little more active. Step back, plank, chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. All right, now we're gonna do something a little different. So step or walk to the top of your mat. Keep your knees bent. We're gonna do something called chair pose or fierce pose. So the goal here, I usually do it with my toes together, heels slightly apart. You don't want your knees to float in front of your toes. You want them to be either from your toes or backwards. Bend the legs, bring the arms overhead. Again, shoulders down the back, don't hunch. Bring them down the back. And you want to kind of tip your pelvis forward to protect your lower back, especially if you have pain there like I do some days. So this pose really burns the quads. It also wakes them up. We're going to hold it for 10 breaths. quads should be on fire by now. I know mine are. Halfway lift. Plant the hands, step back, plank. Let's do a little side plank work, and then we'll do some more twists. So bring your left hand to the center of your mat. Rotate onto the blade of your left foot, like we did during broken triangle or fallen triangle. Right onto the ceiling, and you're trying to find sort of that plank pose alignment, but sideways. Really push up through that left hand and bring your hips up too. Don't let your hips drop like that. And then just breathe. Right arm stretching long. Hold strong. Bring your right arm to the center of your mat. Rotate on the blade of the right foot. Same thing. Plank with your left arm extended to the ceiling. Pushing down through that right arm, lifting the hips, reaching skyward with that left arm. 5 breaths. Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog, downward facing dog, walker hop, top of your mat, chair pose. We'll hold this for just a few breaths this time. Don't worry, it won't be as punishing as last time. All right, bring your hands to heart center. We're going to do chair twists, so left arm locks on the outside of that right thigh. Same as we did with the twisting crescent. You're really just driving down through your feet, keeping your shoulders out of your ears, and make sure your knees don't drift. So you want them to be parallel with each other. So don't let your left knee drift in front of your right knee. A few breaths here. Really anchoring down through the feet. Left foot back if you want, just take it in the air. Balance challenge, step back. I often fall, that time I didn't, I don't know why. Rotating crescent like we did before. Regular old chair pose. We're going to do revolve chair on the other side. Right arm outside of the left knee. Rotating and twisting, we'll do 5 breaths here. Again, remember, anchoring through the 4 corners of the feet. Don't let that right leg drift in front of the left. Bring it back. Rotate and breathe. That right leg, am I going to fall? I'm going to fall. I didn't. Step back, revolve crescent, a few breaths here. Chair pose, arms up. Five breaths here. The challenge high. Plant the hands, legs still bent. Crow pose. Dog, press back, downward facing dog. Good job. That was not an easy sequence. Right leg up. Let's do scorpion dog again, but then flip it all the way out into wild thing. So basically, you open and rotate that right hip. Now you're on the side blade of your left foot like in side plank, but your right toe is behind you, kind of like you were doing like a back flag move on the rock. Press through that left arm. Bring the right arm overhead, sort of like a rainbow arc, and then push and lift the hips up. You should feel good, sort of full body strength and stretch from this pose. This is one of my favorite poses. Back to plank, push back to downward facing dog, left leg up. I have to scooch over because the cat just got under me. And then we're dropping into wild thing with the left foot down, left arm up. Lifting the hips, then bring that left arm forward. Up, return to plank, chaturanga dandasana. Downward facing dog. Drive your heels towards the floor. You should be warmed up now, so she should be a lot more flexible than you were earlier. I know I feel more flexible, which isn't saying much, but still. Goody. This is Bunny, my assistant. All right. Right leg up. Bring it forward. Come up, high crescent. You keep that right leg forward, bent at 90 degrees. Back leg, still in the same position, about 3 or 4 feet behind you. Your left toes can be sort of pointing off to the side of your mat, but slightly forward too. Really settle down into that right hip, arms long and strong, almost like you're sort of pushing down on like a high table or a countertop. And your hips are opening to the side, so this is an open hip pose. Really helps open you up for kind of high steps and frog moves and things like that. Keep the legs active, try to root down through all 4 corners of the front foot, root down through kind of the blade of the back foot, and you're trying to find length between your 2 feet, with yourself as sort of the center point, being stretched in all 4 directions, stretched and strengthened. We'll do a few more breaths here. Really settle into that front hip. Side angle pose. Bring your right elbow inside your right knee. Take your left arm, stretch it forward past your left ear. Get the shoulders out of your ears, don't hunch. And just hold. Same position with the legs, that 90-degree bend in the front leg, strong through the back leg, pushing down to the blade of the back foot. Reaching long, almost like you're trying to reach out and pull the front wall towards you in a way. You should find a lot of length in your side body by doing this. Back to warrior 2, do a reverse warrior, right arm overhead, left leg comes down, left arm comes down the left leg. A few breaths here. Step back to plank, and then we're going to drop to forearm plank. So 90-degree bend in the elbows, hands flat on the ground. Let's just stay here for 5 or 10 breaths and then we'll do dolphin pose. So active through the core, driving back through the feet, pushing down through the forearms, really loading up and activating your core. Belly sag, keep everything tight in a long line. All right, now push back into dolphin. So push into your forearms, bring your hips up in a downward dog kind of fashion. You can walk your feet forward if you want. I usually have to. And then just keep pushing through your forearms. Plank. Press up to plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward dog. Downward dog. Bring it forward. Turn to high crescent. We've been here before. This should be familiar. Up to downward dog. Downward dog. Warrior 2 with the left leg forward. So 90-degree bend. Keep that knee tracking over the ankle. You don't want to be tipped in or splayed out. Right foot angled like a little bit forward, mostly kind of perpendicular. You want heel to arch alignment, so you want your front heel to line up with your back arch. And then arms nice and straight and strong. Settle into the pose. Open the hips. Breathe. Keep that back leg activated too. Don't get lazy about your back leg. You want to keep the quads and all the supporting muscles around the knee kind of firing. Let the pose sort of do the work and open your hip. All right, we're going to go to side angle on the left side. Just bring that left elbow, the inside of the left knee, right arm overhead. You're reaching towards the horizon, keeping that shoulder out of your ear, strong through the back leg, pressing through the blade of that back foot, and then sort of, rotating, trying to get your ribs up towards the sky. Fist to sort of remember this bottom arm and really activate. You can do that too. So this is like an action move. Down, right arm down the back of the right leg, left arm overhead. Hands to the floor, step back plank, chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. All right, right foot up, three-legged dog. Step your right foot through. Scoot your back foot forward a little. We're going to do pyramid pose. So your right foot is facing perfectly forward. Your left foot's at about 45 degrees. You need to bring that left foot up a little usually so you can keep your heels on the floor. I need a block because I'm not super flexible. You're going to reach down either for your right leg or shin or calf or for the block. Keep your hips facing forward and assume a forward fold position over your legs. Through both legs, but primarily through your right front leg too. Revolve triangle. So keep that block where it is. Bring your left hand to the block. Keep your hips facing forward. Anchor your feet as best you can. Honestly, my back foot usually comes up. That's just how it is. Right arm to the ceiling and rotating. Here we are. Hold on to your block with your left hand. Step forward. We're going to do rotating half moon. So left hand's on the ground, right leg straight, right arm to the ceiling, left hand's on the block. You're doing your best to keep your hips parallel with the floor. So you have a 90-degree angle with that anchored leg. And your hips and torso are parallel to the floor. I'm sure my form is less than perfect. This is what I have to work with. Moon. So bring your right hand to the floor, your left hand skyward, straighten that right leg, left leg back, almost like you're doing a kung fu or karate kick at someone behind you, and then just try to rotate up and left towards the ceiling. Breathe. Alright, let's come out of it with a forward fold at the top of the mat. I'm going to bring my left foot behind my right, cross leg forward fold like we did before, just to slow things down for half a second. Come out of the cross, halfway lift, step back, plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Really drive back into those feet, push down through that inner triad, hips high, left leg up, forward. We're going to do pyramid now on the left side. So remember, you're going to step that right foot forward a little bit. For me, it's about 3.5 feet, something like that. Left foot's pointing forward, right foot's at 45 degrees. Hips are forward. I come up halfway, and then I fold down over my block. Stretch, stay active though through the legs. Don't be lazy, don't flop. Stay strong. The revolve triangle on the left side. So right arm's planted on the floor or the block. You bring that left arm skyward. Keep your hips facing forward, but rotate at your torso. Now we're going to do revolved half moon. So step forward onto that left leg. Bring the block with you if you need it. Same thing. Right leg's up, parallel to the floor. Left arm's reaching to the ceiling. Breathe.
Bye, Matt. I'm taking you to Ninja.
All right, bye.
Okay, love you.
Love you. Have fun. Regular old half moon, left arm down, right arm to the ceiling, right leg's back in the Kung Fu kick, as you recall. This is a good hip opening and strengthening pose. Sorry for the interruption, my wife was taking the kids to Ninja Warrior class. The front of the mat. So, bring that right leg behind the left. Fold forward. Hopefully your hamstrings are warm and limber by now. I know mine are. It takes me a while, but I'm also 52 years old and I've never been the most flexible in the first place. Halfway lift, forward fold, upward salute, hands at heart center, and you know, I think I'm ready to train now. Let's do one more sun salutation. I'll do a very brief cool down and then we'll be done. So, hands overhead, forward fold, halfway lift, step back to plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward dog. Honestly, I'm not big on floor poses, so I'm just going to do a couple of hip openers. And then after that, you know, you would typically take Shavasana, so you can take that for as long as you want. Since I'm going to go climb now, I might not take Shavasana because I'm worried that I'll fall asleep because I haven't slept well all week for various reasons. So bring your legs in front of you and then just lie down on your back. Take your right leg, bend it to 90 degrees, bring it across your left leg, and then rotate to the left, stretch your right arm out to the right. Then you can look at your right shoulder if you want. You're just trying to find a good cross-body stretch here. Center. Hug your right knee in. Good hip opener here. Other side. So, bring that left knee 90 degrees. Rotate over the right leg to the right. Bring your left arm out. And then look at your left hand, and then just gently pull down on your bent knee with your right hand, that left knee. Hug this left knee into your chest. Like I said, I'm probably not going to take Shavasana now, but you should for as long as you want, 5, 10, 20 minutes, as long as you have time for it. You can either stretch back and just let everything go like that, or one thing that's nice to do to help your climbing is to do Shavasana and butterfly pose. So this is the standard, right? You probably remember this from soccer practice as a kid. You bring your feet, the flats of your feet together, big toes together, and then your legs are out to the side like butterfly wings. You get that position, and then you just simply lie back Arms outstretched, let everything go. Sort of hip opener and hip stretch to help you wind down your practice. Anyway, thank you. I know the production values are low. I know it's just me. I know I mess things up, but hopefully you see some value in this, and if you do, I'll keep making them. Thank you. Namaste.